People say the dead stay buried. But the night the envelope arrived at Marlow Police Department, it was written in the exact jagged handwriting of a man who'd been executed 8 years ago and cremated in front of witnesses. The lab confirmed the fingerprints on the paper were his too. Perfect, complete, impossible. And inside that envelope was a single date and minute when the next murder would happen. When the clock reached that moment, someone's throat was slit so precisely it looked like a signature. Detective Miles Carter didn't believe in ghosts. But he believed in monsters, because he spent half his life hunting them. Marlow, Indiana was supposed to be his refuge, a town where the loudest noise at night was a passing freight train. But when he saw the handwriting on that envelope, his chest tightened with a fear he hadn't felt since Chicago, since Grayson Hale. The man who broke 3 counties and nearly broke him, Hale, known as the Northern Archivist, wasn't just a serial killer. He was a documentarian of suffering. Every victim was strapped to a chair under a single bulb, every torture method catalogued like scientific data. He mailed tapes to police, each more sadistic than the last. Miles still heard the screams sometimes when he closed his eyes. Now that handwriting was back. The letter contained only November the 15th, 02:14, no threats. No explanation, but Miles knew Hale never wasted ink. When the lab confirmed the fingerprints belonged to Hale, Dakota Reed looked like he wanted to quit his job on the spot. This shouldn't exist, Dakota whispered. He's dead, Miles. Cremated. There's no biological material left to print. Miles stared at the letter. Hale always said he'd keep writing. At 2:14 a.m., the predicted moment, the body of Nora Stevens was found behind a chapel. A nurse. Kind. Harmless. Her throat opened with a surgeon's precision. No struggle. No hesitation. But the worst part wasn't the wound. It was what they found lodged inside it. A cassette tape. The police rookie who discovered it vomited on the sidewalk. Even Miles froze for a moment before pulling it out with gloves. When he played the tape, there was no music. No noise. Just breathing, slow, controlled, intimate. Then a voice. Hale's voice. Hello, Detective Carter. You let me burn, but you won't let me die. Miles slammed the recorder against the table so hard it cracked. Hale was dead, but someone wanted him alive. Again. The second letter arrived 3 days later. Same handwriting. Same fingerprint impossibility. But this one had a message. You failed the living. Now you'll fail the dead. November the 18th, 03:47. On November 18th at 3:47 a.m., police found Daniel McCormick tied to a steel chair inside an abandoned storage unit. The scene was staged so perfectly in Hale style, it felt like a museum exhibit of murder. Daniel's eyelids had been taped open. On his chest, a number 2 was carved crudely with a dull blade. He was still alive when they arrived. Barely. His last words were a shuddered whisper. He kept asking if I remembered him. He didn't survive the ambulance ride. Next to the body, another tape. Hale's voice again. 2 down. Keep up, detective. You're part of the archive too. Miles' hands shook in a way they hadn't since he was a rookie, because the carving, jagged, uneven, obsessive, felt familiar, not like Hale's steady surgical cuts. More like imitation, someone trying to be Hale. Miles requested the sealed federal storage of Hale's belongings and discovered something the FBI had missed. Unpublished letters Hale wrote to someone he called They weren't fan letters, they were teachings, lessons, instructions. Hale had been grooming someone from behind. Bars. An apprentice. A successor, someone bright enough to understand him, someone disturbed enough to continue his work, and that someone signed their responses. Miles' stomach dropped. 8 years ago, a young, brilliant, socially awkward officer named Eric Rowan worked under him during the Hale investigation. Rowan had been fascinated by Hale to the point of obsession. He studied the tapes frame by frame. He memorized Hale's speech patterns. He told Miles once, understanding him is like understanding God. He creates and destroys with purpose. Miles, Thought it was just a morbid joke. It wasn't. Rowan quit the force the day after Hale's execution and vanished. The third letter arrived at Marlow PD that night, November 22, 01:03 inch A. Master doesn't die. He multiplies. The envelope contained a photo of a man tied to a chair, his lips sewn together with fishing wire. Blood crusting down his chin. Miles recognized him instantly. Dakota Reed. The killer took the only person who confirmed Hale's fingerprints. They found Dakota barely alive in an abandoned farmhouse. His mouth was torn and bleeding. The fishing wire had cut through his skin. He couldn't speak at first, but once he could, he clutched Miles' jacket with shaking hands. "It's him, Eric Rowan," Dakota rasped. "He thinks he is Hale. He said Hale talks to him. He said Hale lives through him." When Miles asked where Rowan was now, Dakota burst into tears. He said, "The archive needs a final confession." He said, "You already know who." Miles felt the world tilt. Emily, his ex-wife. The fourth letter didn't come to the station. It came to Miles. Home, inside was a single photo, Emily, tied to a beam, gagged. Her eyes wide with terror, and behind her stood Rowan, wearing Hale's old mask. The plaster mold from Hale's actual face during psychological evaluations on the back of the photo, November the 25th, 00:00 inch. Bring your gun. You'll need it. Miles didn't call for backup. He couldn't risk Emily's life. He drove to the barn Rowan had chosen, a decaying structure half swallowed by forest. His flashlight barely pierced the darkness. Inside, Emily was tied up but alive. Rowan stood behind her with a scalpel, breathing slowly, rhythmically, like Hale used to. "You stole my purpose," Rowan said softly. "You ended his voice. So I became his voice." "You're not Hale," Miles said. "You're just a man hiding behind a dead monster." Rowan tilted his head. Dead things echo longer. He slashed toward Emily. Miles fired. The shot echoed through the barn like thunder. Rowan collapsed, mask cracking against the floor, scalpel skittering away. Emily screamed through the gag, but she was unharmed. Miles approached Rowan's body. The dying man smiled. "You can kill me," he whispered, blood filling his mouth. "But you can't kill the message." His trembling hand activated a recorder in his pocket. Hale's voice played one last time. "Eric, finish the archive. And if you fall, someone else will take your place." Rowan died grinning, eyes wide open. The killing stopped. But the letters didn't. Miles still receives envelopes, blank paper.no, fingerprints.no return address, and sometimes, when he listens closely at night, he swears he can hear breathing, slow, controlled, steady, coming from inside the empty tapes Rowan left behind. As if someone is waiting, learning, choosing who dies next.